Hello, YouTube! Are you sick of Pokemon Challenge battles yet? I hope not, because I, Imported Cheese, am here with yet another one. Today we're going to find out what is the minimum number of battles needed to complete Pokemon Gold. This challenge was inspired by J-Rose11, who completed it multiple times in the Generation 1 games. Let's lay out the rules. Number 1. Only complete mandatory battles. That's story battles, gym battles, and trainers that cannot possibly be skipped. What's a battle? I'm going to be using the same definition that J-Rose11 did. A battle is any time you actively engage with an enemy Pokemon. Trainer battles are obviously battles, as are wild encounters where you do anything other than immediately run away. That means that catching anything counts as a battle. Rule number 2, no daycare. The whole point of the run is to minimize experience gain. The daycare would trivialize the entire challenge. 3. No items in battle except for held items. Restoratives outside of combat are allowed. And finally, no glitches or exploits. Alright, jumping into the run, it's time to choose our starter. I say choose, but really the choice has been made for us. Cyndaquil is my favorite, Chikorita is available, but we're gonna go with Totodile because he's the only one with a viable moveset for this run. I name him Totodile because even though I haven't mapped out this run, I have a feeling that it just works. We complete our errand at Mr. Pokemon's house, then on our way back we're accosted by a shady character. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Anytime we lose a battle we'll be forced to reset, since we'll have gained experience and lost money, meaning we're no longer at minimum battles. There isn't much strategy here, just hit him with a Leer laser and scratch away to victory. I decide to name the rival Edgelord, but thanks to the limited space I'll have to settle for E-Lord instead. Route 30 on the way to Violet City has only one forced encounter, everyone's favorite youngster, Mikey. His average percentile Rattata is no match for Scratch Spam, and we reach level 7 and learn Rage. Now, if you're familiar with Generation 1, you might know Rage as a contender for worst move in Pokemon history. It has a pathetic base power of 20, that's half a tackle, and once you use Rage, you're locked into using nothing but Rage over and over until you faint, which shouldn't take long. In Generation 2, they completely overhauled Rage, and now it's broken, as you'll see in a moment. Sprout Tower is optional, which means we'll be skipping it and heading straight to the Violet City Gym. The first Bird Keeper has a Spearow, which should be no match for the CEO of Bethesda, but a Critical Peck hands us our first reset of the run, and spoilers, the only reset of this gym. Now you can see the true power of Rage. It starts out weak, but every time you get hit, the power of your subsequent rages increases. By how much? I'm not sure, but it's a lot. It has to be exponential in some way. The remaining trainers, as well as Faulkner's underleveled Pidgeotto, are no match for Todd's sick Ragers, and we earn ourselves the Zephyr Badge, as well as the TM from Mudslap. We pick up the Mystery Egg from Elm's assistant in the Pokemon Center. Since we cannot catch Pokemon without adding to our battle total, gifted Pokemon are the main way we'll be padding out our team. I can't wait for this Ho-Oh to hatch. The journey to Azalea Town is uneventful. We fight one youngster on Route 31, and 2 trainers in Union Cave, a Fire Breather and a Hiker. We learn Water Gun right after mauling the Hiker's 3 Geodudes to death with a normal type move. Perfect timing. Next is Slowpoke Well, which has 4 mandatory Rocket Grunts, none of which can stand against Todd's Rage. Azalea Gym has 3 trainers to fight. The first trainer's Ladybus showcases just how confused Bethesda's leadership is. A supersonic hit followed by 4 consecutive turns where Todd damages himself. You can bet that Todd wasn't the only one using Rage. Bugsy himself took only 1 attempt. I wasn't sure if his Metapod could actually attack, but it can, which means that Rage Spam is the way to go. Scyther severely outclasses Totodile in stats, but he's no match for the Rage we've built up over the past 2 Pokemon, earning us enough XP to evolve into Croconaw, as well as the Hive Badge and the TM for Fury Cutter. With our spicy new stats, I head west to take on E-Lord number 2, and it doesn't go well. Ghastly isn't a problem, but because it's a ghost type, we can't build up Rage against it, meaning there's no way we can take out Bayleaf before it seasons us with Razor Leaf. Which means that it's time for cheese. We use both the Mudslap and Fury Cutter TMs and retry the battle. Ghastly falls to Mudslap, and a bit of Pocket Sand in Bayleaf's eye gives us the 3 consecutive Fury Cutters needed to take it out. The remaining Zubat is no problem. Ilex Forest has no trainer encounters, just a wild Farfetch chase. Or, well, it's not actually wild, but whatever. We get cut, teach it to Todd, pick up the Headbutt TM, then head towards Goldenrod City. Route 34 has 0 encounters, so we reach Goldenrod in short order. Now we're going to take a short detour. We'll need to clear this battle later on to rescue the director, but taking out this super nerd in the Goldenrod Underground gets us access to the coin case, which makes 3 Pokemon available to us: Ekans, Dratini, and Abra. Ekans is useless, sorry Jesse. Dratini would be useful if XP wasn't at a premium, and Abra will actually be usurping Todd's place on the board. But imported cheese, Abra can't even attack until it evolves, you say. It's true that Abra only unlocks the big brain psychic attacks once it evolves, but our friend Little Mac here is going to be putting those arms to use. We head over to the department store, do a bit of shopping, and outfit our new friend with the saviors of Gen 2, the Elemental Punches. But imported cheese, you can't trade for Alakazam. Feraligatr is fully evolved, it's stronger, you say. Wrong! It's true that Kadabra isn't fully evolved, but look at those special attack and speed stats. They leave Feraligatrs in the dust. Keep in mind that this is before the Gen 4 physical special split, which means that Feraligatr can't use its attack with water moves, whereas Kadabra's Fists of Fury work off of its incredible special attack. Yes, Kadabra's HP and defense are hot garbador, but the plan is to just one-hit KO everything anyway. Before we take on the gym, we pick up a bike from the cycle shop. Maybe the reason business is slow is because the shopkeeper lies to our face. I wish the bike was usable anywhere. After a bit of cardio, our Ho-Oh egg hatches into a... We've been cheated. There's one mandatory encounter before Whitney, a lone Snubble. And now, it's time. Whitney and her dreaded Miltank. I'm gonna be a Pokemon elitist here. Whitney is not hard. She was never hard. The memes about her invincible Miltank have been overblown by filthy casuals who were probably illiterate when they first played Gold and had no idea why they couldn't just mash A throughout the entire game. I say this while footage plays of her destroying me over and over because, yes, in a minimum battle run, Miltank is actually pretty tough. My initial plan, in order to get Little Mac as much XP as possible, was to smack Miltank with 6 Mud Slaps, let Todd faint, get off 3 charms with Togepi before it faints, then hopefully live long enough with Little Mac to land a freeze with Ice Punch. After about an hour of attempts, that's not what happens. I get a run where Miltank just can't get her bearings, and we water gun her down for the Plain Badge and the TM for Attract. We pick up the Squirt Bottle, then head up to exterminate Sudowoodo. Along the way, we pick up Kenya the Spearow, who will not be appearing in any battles. Route 35 has 2 mandatory trainers, and National Park has none. Just some treasure and the best song in Gen 2, Don't At Me! Route 36 has 1 required trainer with his own cadre of Abras. And isn't it fitting that Abra's sprite looks like it has a black eye, because we're about to punch its lights out. Pow! We goad Sudowoodo into attacking us with the Squirt Bottle, and then bravely run away, because we don't want an extra encounter. Route 37 has 1 trainer, a Psychic with a Drowsy, and punching him out earns us enough XP to evolve into Kadabra, just in time for Morty's gym. The 4 trainers in Morty's gym are no match for Little Mac. The Ghastly all fall to a single Confusion, whereas the Haunters take 2. It's a bit of an unorthodox boxing match, with one corner busting out some furious licks, while the other just plays literal mind games. We learn Psybeam, a direct upgrade over Confusion, right before taking on Morty. Ghastly and Haunter are easy one-hit KOs, but Gengar outspeeds us and sends us straight to the Shadow Realm with a Shadow Ball. We're gonna need some levels. Thankfully, the Kimono Girls are mandatory and award excellent XP. Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon fall to Psybeam, but Espeon and Umbreon are a bit trickier. Espeon can't do much to us, other than Quick Attack, but Umbreon hits us with repeated pursuits. Thankfully, Dark is special in this generation, and our special defense is decent. Fun fact, Umbreon's Japanese name is Blackie. I tell you this to set up the next joke, it looks like Blackie was no match for our black belt. With some extra levels under our belt, we rematch against Morty. We outspeed Gengar this time, and Psybeam is an easy one-hit KO, earning us the Fog Badge and the TM for Shadow Ball. Next up is the Burn Tower. Just kidding. Gold is currently 0 for 2 on mandatory towers. We hop back to Goldenrod to pick up Eevee, who will do a great job benchwarming. The Elemental Stones aren't available until after the Elite Four, so the only evolutions available are Espeon and Umbreon. Espeon has better special attack than Kadabra, but its move pool is more like a move puddle. It gets Psychic and Bite. Wow. Umbreon is great for stalling, which is not our game plan. We also pay a visit to the Name Raider and promote Little Mac to Middle Mac. He will never reach Big Mac status. We have the choice to go east or west from Ecruteak. I chose west. I have a score to settle, as we'll soon see. There are 0 battles on the way to Olivine, and only 3 battles during the Lighthouse climb. Hey, the Lighthouse counts as a mandatory tower, I guess, so 1 for 3 on towers. After the first battle, I maybe make a mistake and decline learning Recover. The combination of Ice and Thunder punches form the fabled Bolt Beam combo, hitting every Pokemon for at least neutral damage with the exception of the Magnemite line. The elemental punches are also buyable TMs, meaning I could reteach them at any point for a small fee. I'll just hope that this doesn't come back to bite me at some point. Bite would be super effective. With Amphi's life on the line, we grab the Strength HM and set sail for Cianwood. It's smooth sailing all the way with 0 mandatory battles yet again. Once ashore, we accept the gift shuckle from the man who got mugged by E-Lord. Fun fact, Shuckle is holding a berry, and if held long enough, it will convert into berry juice and, eventually, a rare candy. We will not be abusing this during this run. And now, we come to the dojo of the Pretender, Chuck. This guy thinks that punches should be fighting type. This heresy will not be permitted. His 4 underlings think that brawn beats brain, but they're no match for Middle Max book smarts. Chuck himself is a pushover. Primeape folds to 1 Psybeam, and while the correct play would be to Psybeam Poliwrath twice, I Psybeam once, and then assert dominance by finishing him off with the Fists of Zeus. Just put on a shirt, man. Defeated and cowed, he hands us the Storm Badge and the TM for Dynamic Punch. We pick up the Fly HM from Chuck's wife, who also throws some savage shade at her husband. He's just bulking, alright? We nab the medicine from the pharmacy, then fly back to Olivine and scale the lighthouse to deliver the meds to Amphi. Now that Jasmine is back in her gym, we take on her team of Steel types. Both Magnemite melt in a single Fire Punch, but Steelix could be trouble. It's 5 levels above us, and even with its mediocre attack, I'm not confident we can survive an Iron Tail. We might need to bank on an Iron Tail miss, or... Okay. We obtain the Steel Badge and the TM for Iron Tail. Next, we head east from Ecruteak and up towards the Lake of Rage, yet again avoiding all encounters up to the Red Gyarados. The Red Gyarados is actually mandatory. You're forced to either defeat it or capture it. We could either defeat it for the XP, or catch it as a Waterfall user, saving us the cost of buying a Dratini in the game corner. Why not just teach Waterfall to Totodile? Because he can't learn it for some reason. In the end, we opt to catch it. We could use the money we save to stuff Middlemac with supplements later on. Some cosplayer in a cape rants at us about radio frequencies and demands that we meet him back at Mahogany. He orders his Dragonite to Hyper Beam this poor man, calm down, and we follow him into the worst part of the game, Rocket Hideout. Even if you disable the alarm immediately, there are 14 mandatory battles. 14! And none of them are interesting. For context, there are 20 battles in the entire Kanto postgame. The only damage we take throughout this segment is from rats sneaking in quick attacks. Johto is notorious for its wonky level curve, and even though we've been doing literally the minimum amount of battles possible, we're still over-leveled for this segment. Once we finish slogging through the Rocket Hideout, we set our sights on Mahogany Gym, where the only mandatory trainer is Boomer Price himself. As you might expect from a trainer who specializes in the worst type in the game, he's easy. Dugong and Piloswine take 2 hits each, but it's not as if they do much in return. The price is right when it comes to the Glacier Badge and the TM for Icy Wind. The price is free. He gives them to us. Suddenly, we get an urgent call from Professor Elm. The radio tower is in crisis. Another tower? That's 2 for 4. We fly to Goldenrod and sweep through 7 mandatory battles, including the EPA's most wanted, the Rocket Executive with every coughing in Johto, and a wheezing. With the basement key in hand, we head to the Goldenrod Underground and annihilate this poor trainer who expected us to have, 2 badges? In the underground proper, we're ambushed by none other than E-Lord himself, who wounds us with his words, but not his Pokemon. The other 9 trainers on the way to free the director don't fare any better. Middlemack is a monster. A pocket monster. A Pokemon. That's what Pokemon is an abbreviation of. Pocket monster. Now that we have the card key, we ascend the radio tower once more to mop up Team Rocket for good. The 4th and final battle of this segment has us face Houndoom for the first time in this run, a Pokemon that will be giving us a bit of trouble later on. See, I didn't let Middlemack learn Future Sight, but he doesn't need it. I know Future Sight, alright? The director gifts us the Rainbow Wing, allowing us to enter the Tin Tower and capture Ho-Oh. We will not be doing that, but we will be nabbing the rare candy from the Tin Tower, meaning we're at 3 for 5 on towers. That's a 60%. Almost an F. With order restored, we head west from Mahogany Town, defeat the lone bird keeper on Route 44, then zoom through the ice path, which has no trainers, but plenty of encounters with boulders at top speed. Once we reach Blackthorn City, we waltz into the gym and show the 5 mandatory trainers our Frozen Fist style. Except for Claire's Kingdra, who we Psybeam twice. Upset that her team of limbless noodles can neither ice, thunder, nor fire punch, Claire throws a fit and refuses to give us the Rising Badge until we complete a short fetch quest in the nearby Dragon's Den. And now, all that lays before us is the Elite Four, the ultimate challenge. We fly back to Newbark Town and teach Waterfall to our Gyarados, allowing us to scale the Toho Falls and take our first steps onto the Kanto region. There are 5 unskippable trainers on our way to Victory Road, which is completely empty in Gen 2. Empty, except for E-Lord, who ambushes us near the exit and fails to do anything to Middlemack. Someone report this guy for feeding. This is, his 4th loss to us? It isn't like we can do any grinding to prepare ourselves, so we set foot into the Elite Four proper and face the first member, Psychic Specialist Will. Even though all 5 of his Pokemon resist our Psychic move, all 5 of them also happen to be weak to one of our punches. The only one who survives a hit is Slowbro, who takes 2 wallops before going down. Next up is Koga, who is a ninja, which is very cool. He doesn't hit us a single time. Third is Bruno, who unlike Chuck, actually is pretty shredded. Unfortunately, his team could not match up worse against Middlemack, so he's another clean sweep. Fourth is Karen, who specializes in a type that is both super effective against and completely immune to our primary attacking type. Umbreon is the first obstacle, but it's more of an annoyance than anything. Like the Kimono Girl's Umbreon, we have no choice but to hammer it down with elemental punches while it chips away at us with feint attacks. The real problem, though, is Karen's Houndoom. Unlike Umbreon, Houndoom actually has great special attack, meaning its crunches are devastating. Middlemack can actually survive one from full health, but just barely. In order to win, we're gonna need a bit of luck. On my successful attempt, we lead with a critical Ice Punch, which Umbreon answers with a Confuse Ray. We sacrifice Todd to dispel the confusion, and here you can see just how pathetic Umbreon is. It can't even knock out a not fully evolved Pokemon 20 levels lower than it, come on! Middlemack is back in the ring and Ice Punch freezes, let's go! Umbreon is down and we're at full health. Next is Murkrow. Don't look up its stats if you have a weak stomach. 1-hit KO. Houndoom comes out and Kenya takes one for the team. Houndoom actually knows Pursuit, so we got lucky that he didn't snipe Middlemack on the way out. We bring in our red Gyarados. Gyarados. Gyarados gets off a Surf just to soften up the Houndoom before Houndoom turns him into a chew toy. Now Middlemack is here to finish the job. Will 2 Thunder Punches be enough? The first Thunder Punch gets the para, doesn't matter, but we survive the crunch and knock Houndoom out with the second Thunder Punch. Karen's remaining Pokemon aren't even Dark types. In fact, they're Poison types, so Psychic makes quick work of them. Oh, you want to speak to the manager, Karen? I am the manager! With all 4 members of the Elite Four defeated, we proceed to the Hall of Fame, and it's the cosplayer, and he demands that we battle him for the title of champion. He's a complete joke, only his Charizard even survives a hit, so I'm just going to share a fan theory I heard. As you know, Dragonair normally evolves into Dragonite at level 55, which means Lance has under-leveled Dragonite on his roster. But, remember that he was with us at the Lake of Rage when Team Rocket was experimenting with radio frequencies that forced Pokemon to evolve prematurely. Checkmate, Gen 1ers. And with a total just shy of 100 battles, we've become the champions of the Johto region. But of course, we're not done yet. We still have the entire Kanto postgame to explore, and just a heads up, it's really boring. Honestly, the run has been a cakewalk since Kadabra came online, and it only gets easier. Until the very end, that is. After one mandatory battle aboard the SS Aqua, we're dropped off at Vermilion City and left to roam the new region. There's only one story quest we need to clear in order to proceed, and that's the power plant part. Normally, you'd approach the power plant from Cerulean, but because that would involve at least 2 battles, we're forced to go through the southern entrance of Rock Tunnel, where we only need to fight 1 trainer. The Flash HM was a reward from Sprout Tower, which we never did, so navigating Rock Tunnel is a real chore. This ain't your Gen 3 darkness. This is advanced darkness. Once we reach the power plant and get the notice about the suspicious character, we head to Cerulean Gym to trigger the Rocket Grunt event. We don't actually have to fight him as long as we know where the part is, which we do because we're playing this game 20 years after it came out. We walk right past him and into the single longest gauntlet in the Kanto region, 6 mandatory trainers in a row. At the end, you're offered a fabulous prize, but you have to battle for it, so no prize for us. We crash Misty's date, then head to her gym to challenge her. You can actually surf around all of the trainers and fight Misty directly. We Thunder Punch her and win, is what I would say, but she's a certified gym leader, and she runs a Quagsire that is immune to electric, but has such poor stats that it faints to a psychic anyway. Cascade badge, please. We pick up the stolen part and drop it off at the power plant, which allows us to get the radio expansion card. Why do we need that? So we can wake up this sleepy boy, and I never picked up the base radio card. After an embarrassing trip back to Goldenrod, I awaken the Snorlax and immediately flee. Now all of Kanto is our cloister, and we zip around destroying the self-esteem of the remaining 7 gym leaders. Vermilion Gym has 1 mandatory trainer, then Lieutenant Surge himself, who is a pushover. I hope Lieutenant isn't too high of a rank. Next is Pewter Gym, 1 trainer, then Brock, who has a neat team that includes the fossils, which are once again extinct, courtesy of Middle Max Fists. On to the Celadon Gym, which actually has a whopping 3 trainers before Erica. All of Erica's Pokemon are one-hit KOs, except for Blossom, which roasts to death under harsh sunlight of its own making. Kinda grim, but at least Blossom's trainer is Erica, the #1 waifu of Kanto. Fight me! We pay a visit to the #2 waifu, Sabrina, who foresaw our meeting, but not losing. Our next target is Fuchsia City, but to get there without encounters, we'll need to approach it from the south, which means surfing from Pallet Town. Like her uncle Koga, Janine is a ninja, which is very cool. She doesn't hit us a single time. Second to last is Blaine, a sad old man holed up all by his lonesome in this dank cave after an eruption destroyed his gym, his home, and his lab. Tough break. Oh well, volcano badge please. The final gym leader is Blue, the former champion. He has a full team of strong, well-balanced Pokemon, 2 of which actually survive a hit, a new record for Kanto. Alakazam takes 2 elemental punches, as does his final Pokemon, Arcanine, which actually does some serious damage before going down. With all 16 badges in our possession, we've earned the right to scale Mount Silver and challenge the man, the myth, the legend, Red. But can we actually beat him? As the battle begins, 2 things become abundantly clear. 1. Pikachu is just awful, it really is carried by its cuteness. And 2. We don't stand a Snover's chance in hell of beating Red at our current level. Ice Punch against Espeon does nothing, and even though we score Freeze, Espeon isn't the real threat. Out comes the true Big Mac, Snorlax, and there is nothing we can do. It's a slaughter. I buy all the stat boosters I can to max out Middle Max Stat XP, as well as gather the 9 rare candies obtainable without battles. We're now as strong as we can possibly be within the rules of the challenge, but the Pokeflute isn't going to bail us out of this one. Snorlax is Kadabra's worst nightmare. It specializes in HP, attack, and special defense, which means we barely scratch it while it deals disgusting damage to us in return with Body Slam. It even knows Amnesia, which it can use to become more or less invincible. We've invested so heavily in Middlemac that our other 5 party members are worthless. Everything is riding on Middlemac's shoulders. The only way out of our predicament is to cheese this fight to Unova and back. Espeon will either set up Reflect or hit us with Psychic. Reflect does literally nothing against us, while Psychic does respectable chip damage, even with our leftovers recovery. Reaching Snorlax with at or near full health, will allow us to survive a single body slam, but that's not good enough. We have to freeze Snorlax with Ice Punch, and hope he stays on ice long enough for Middle Mac to Psychic him down. But of course, Red has 3 more heavy hitters in the wings. Charizard survives a Thunder Punch, and will always retaliate with a Flamethrower, which does nearly 2/3 of our health on its own. We either need to crit with a Thunder Punch, or get the even more unlikely Paralysis plus full Para follow-up. If we manage to take down Charizard, next comes Blastoise, which is again 2-hit KO with Thunder Punch. If it survives a turn, it'll hit us with Surf, doing slightly less than Charizard, but still a majority of our health. It turns out that skipping Recover wasn't an issue, it would have been useless anyway. If we want to beat Red, we need to get through Espeon without losing much, if any, health. We need to freeze Snorlax first turn, or else we won't have a buffer of health against Charizard or Blastoise. We need to either crit or Parahax either Charizard or Blastoise to dodge a counterattack from at least one of them. After close to 100 resets, I get a run that looks promising. Pikachu crumples like usual, and we get an early freeze on Espeon, followed by a first turn freeze on Snorlax. Perfect. Leftovers heals us up so that we're at full health facing down the Charizard. We Thunder Punch, don't get the crit, but we do get the full Para. Still full health against the Blastoise, the 2-hit KO is looking shaky, but we weather the Surf and we do get the KO. I've actually never reached the Venusaur before, but Psychic is our power move. It should be a 1-hit KO, and it's not, and he charges Solar Beam. And we've done it. We've beaten the entirety of Pokemon Gold with, as far as I know, the minimum possible number of battles, a clean 119, and only 3 of them were any challenge. Honestly, the level curve was so skewed that this wasn't hard at all. Still, for a first Pokemon challenge, I'm happy with how things turned out. Hopefully you enjoyed conquering Gen 2 with Middle Mac and the boys. We never picked up the TM, but rock smash that like button. Subscribe for more if people seem interested. If you have any ideas for other challenges or ways I could improve this one, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.